Hi, welcome to another edition of Northwest Outdoors. If you're a fan of this show, you realize that we go to a lot of places around the Northwest to show off activities that you and the family can enjoy in the outdoors. On this show, we head out to the Snake River near Hell's Canyon to go steelhead fishing with fishing expert Hobart Manns and Beamer's Hell's Canyon tours. After that, join us for a backroads tour up through the BC Rockies. First, we start at Rossland and visit the Leroy Gold Mine. We then go through Kaslo and the Kootenai Lake area, and then end up in Kaslo for a little bit of sightseeing. So stay tuned and join us for your Northwest Outdoors. Funding of Northwest Outdoors is made possible in part by O'Loughlin Sports Shows. Puyallup, Portland, and the Redmond Sports Shows are proud supporters of public television throughout the Northwest, placing an emphasis on education for the great outdoors. By Kershaw Knives of Portland, Oregon. Makers of precision tools and cutlery, Kershaw Knives continues to support outdoor programming and outdoor activities throughout the Pacific Northwest. And by Northwest Dock Systems of Eatonville, Washington. Manufacturers of Irv's pontoon boats, Northwest Dock Systems supports safe and environmentally responsible enjoyment of the outdoors. We are near the small southeastern Washington town of Clarkston to fish the waters of the Snake River for fall run steelhead. Near the entrance of Hell's Canyon and where the Grand Ronde River meets the Snake River is some of the best steelhead fishing in the Northwest. Northwest Outdoors fishing host Hobart Manns went out with Beamer's Hell's Canyon tours to get a feel for this fishery.
There are so many different runs of fish that come up the Columbia and the Snake. Like in steelhead, there's A, B, D, Z, X, Y, and Z, I suppose, but how many runs would steelhead would be in the area at the present time?
Well, we have the A-run steelhead on the Snake River. The A-runs are usually the first ones here, and they're usually one-year ocean fish. But we have a variety of fish coming up the river of the Snake River. We have the Grand Ronde River's fish, which is just up above us here about a mile. Then the next river would be the Salmon River, comes in on the Idaho side. And then above that, the Emnaha River. All have their own species of fish that come up the Snake to get into their native spawning grounds. But they're all A-runs.
Now, what is a B-run fish?
B-run is a special fish developed on the Clearwater River. It's a larger fish. Instead of averaging 8 to 10 pounds like these fish on the Snake River do, they average 12 to 20 pounds. The B-run is just a larger fish. Second only to the Babine River in Alaska as far as size.
Are those B-run fish a hatchery developed program?
Hatchery developed program.
Now that speaks very well of hatcheries. If they can develop a run of fish that are not only more healthy but more vibrant than the fish that are out there in the wild fish runs, so to speak.
If you fish these waters a lot, you catch a lot of wild fish, you'll realize that your wild fish are a lot smarter, a lot stronger fighting fish than the hatchery fish, even stronger than the B-run hatchery fish. They have all their fins, and where a lot of hatchery fish will have some of their fins nubbed off and worn off from when they were smolts in the tank, whereas the native fish have all their fins and they're a lot stronger fight. They seem to have a lot smarter action with the way they fight on a rod than a hatchery fish does.
With 2 separate runs of steelhead, the best times to fish this stretch of the Snake River is between the beginning of September to the cold months of January. This is mid-September at the beginning of the A-run. With the water temperature around 62 degrees, the fishing is just getting good.
Whoa, fish on!
It's still there. Come on,
shut
baby.
her off.
Come on, baby. That fish has got some legs to it, too.
I hope we don't get these other lines.
Oh, we're not going to get those other lines. I don't care where it goes. We're going to keep that fish cooking. We're going to keep that fish cooking. This is what we're looking for.
We're putting more purple lures on.
Get those purple puppies out there. Don't want to get him some slack line because of those barbless hooks. I don't think I'm ready to lead him to you yet, though, Dan.
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, let me get a...
Good fighter.
Yeah, he is. He's up there. Kind of... First he showed some color right here under the boat. He looks like he's got quite a bit of chrome to him. Absolute chromer.
Nice one.
Big beauty.
Female. Hatchery fish.
Exactly what the doctor ordered.
Oh, yes.
Does that look beautiful?
I think we should kiss that
beautiful?
fish.
I'll tell you what.
Let me get that pliers out. You got him like that?
I will have here in a second. Let me get that pin.
I just don't want you to get hooked.
Okay.
A beauty.
You know what our friend does on television?
Kisses that fish.
Yes. We're sitting here on an overcast day, and this purple throws a rather total dark silhouette. And without a lot of sunshine to give the plug some definition, a dark colored plug will really show up better on an overcast day or slightly off colored water than a brighter one. You get a darker silhouette and those fish will jump on it. You know, that pass we made through there right in front of the lodge is really a nice area. I was surprised that we would get a fish that quick from the dock.
Well, this is a real good long deep stretch of holding water right here. It's got about a 25-foot deep hole. It's about 300 yards long, and it's right before the Grand Round River. A lot of these fish will pull up in this hole and hold here before they shoot on up into the Grand Round or further up into the Snake. But right now the water is about 25,000 CFS, which is a lot of water for this hole, and it makes this a real strong backaid. It's hard to fish through here. So we'll start our lures right at the top of the hole, and then I'll move over into the current line and back right down into the bottom of the hole right where the fish seem to be laying. Hopefully we'll get a hook up with another one.
Dan, on the hill over here, we've seen deer feeding and browsing early in the morning. We saw some really big bucks. Are those local, or is that a migration goes through here?
No, those are a local family of deer that hang out right there on that flat. There must be some mighty good feed over there for them because they don't seem to go anywhere. Oh, look at the size of that buck up there on the ridge.
Oh yeah, he is a big one. He's got this, that spread goes clear back over his shoulders. That's a big one. I mean, that's a trophy-sized deer. I suppose if a man climbed the hill to get it, it would be a trophy for sure.
That's for sure. That's a special permit hunt area over there, and they do have a special permit for those big bucks on that side. It's called the Waha Hunt.
Waha.
These are Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep, ewes, and this year's young lambs. On the river, we see them all the time. They're real accustomed to the boats. The boats don't bother them at all.
The ample wildlife visible from the shore can make for a temporary diversion until the next drift.
But he's on. With these barbless hooks and plugs, you really don't do a hook set. You simply get to the rod and lift it up and hope that you can keep a solid line on the fish, because slack line and barbless hooks are not friends. This, I think, was another one of those purple plugs, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
This fish is moving along very nicely.
These are steelhead, you know.
Yes, they are.
We had that purple plug magnetized.
Ho, 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 ho. And of all things, nice color too. Nice bright fish.
Keep him going for a while there. I almost got this in. I'll get the net.
Don't want to have much of that head shaking. We can just lead him around here a little bit. We'll bring him up here to the bag. Let's find out if he's anatomically correct, huh?
Oh, he is. She's a she too. Beauty.
You said this was a hatchery fish, Dan.
This is a hatchery
because
fish.
this is missing?
This is because the adipose fin here has been clipped when it was a young smolt in the hatchery, released into the river, and then went to the ocean and spent 1 year in the ocean. Be a 1-year ocean fish.
And that allows anglers like myself to be able to separate it from a wild
From a
fish.
wild fish, which will have a fully developed adipose fin.
And they want those fully anatomically correct puppies to go on upstream and do their things to create more.
Right.
And you said this was a female.
Female, it has the short snout on her. Male will have a longer jaw, and a little later in the year that jaw will start to hook like a salmon.
He'll have a kype on it like a salmon. You've got some interesting things in this tackle box, and I'd like to find out exactly what's going on here. I know that purple's been the color that's been catching fish for us today, but what conditions would you use all these other colors on?
Brighter days, the dark colors work good on dark days. Your black, your metallic red, and your dark purples. And then on brighter days, you'd want to go with the lighter colors. Gives a different reflection in the water depending how deep it is.
But on these hot lips, and this wide bill is a Jensen hot lip, true?
True.
And this little pin here, I saw you taking and adjusting those earlier this morning, and one of the plugs you said wasn't running true, and you changed it. It's called tuning. Now, how would you tune that plug?
Well, if a plug is, put it in the water and it's pulling off to one side, it'll come up out of the water. And if it's going to the left, you just take hold of the eyelet with a pair of needle nose pliers and bend it just slightly the opposite direction that it's going. And then pull it through the water again. If it dives straight, you've done fine. If it dives this way to the right, then you went too far. You just bend her back the other direction just a little bit, very slightly bending. If you bend it very much, it's going to go around in circles.
You've got a clip on this one, and do you use that clip as a swivel, or is it functional as a figure-8 clip there?
It doesn't do any good as a swivel, but it's a snap, and it makes a real quick release if you want to change lures. If you want a really good diving plug, dive its best, it's best to tie the line directly to the lure lip itself.
On the limit up here, we're looking at 2 fish, 4 fish?
2 fish per day. They have to be fin-marked fish. That means they have to have the adipose fin clipped. They can't be wild fish. All wild fish must be released, as well as any fish that may be possibly foul hooked. And if you're not sure what we mean by foul hooked is, as this lure is running through the water, being pulled by your pole, a fish will come up and sometimes strike it with its mouth and get hooked. If it doesn't get its mouth on it, it'll slap it with its tail and get hooked in the side or the tail. And that is a foul hook. And anytime a fish is not hooked in the mouth, it has to be released into the water for catching again some other day.
Got another one down here, and he is taking line. He's smoking out. This fish is moving.
Shutting her off. Them red
ones.
ones catch bigger ones than them purple ones.
Looks like he might be doing a little roll on the line.
Maybe he's another tail swatter.
Oh, I wouldn't want to see that. I think it's interesting to have had 3 fish on 3 different rods from the standpoint of getting an idea of what each one of the rods feel like. And there's definitely a difference. Now this fish is rolled in this one.
He's hooked in the side. He may have rolled it, but he's got that lure hanging in the side of him.
Yeah. Another hatchery.
Yep, another female too.
A lot bigger than the other one.
Okay, let me get a hold of him. That way I know what's going on.
You got it.
Reach down here and just pull this barbless hook right out. Thank you, fish. See what got here, whether it's keeper or not.
Me to eventually net that as soon as I get this other one in, I know. Oh, ooh, that's a beaut. Now, where's that
Doing
plug
the old
at?
flip-flop.
I have to get back over here again.
Okay.
I want to get that plug out of your way.
See what we got here, whether it's keeper or not. Got to be a hatchery fish with a clipped adipose fin.
Now, how do scissor bills do this for you, Dan?
On the bottom of the boat. You trying to make him more excited, are you? You did it. Scared him.
Such a beauty.
It's a keeper male.
Keeper male.
Keeper male fish.
Make sure I get that plug all wound up in the net there for you. That's a beauty too.
Boy, we can
Beauty too.
No adipose fin back here. He's got a longer jaw. See his longer jaw, and he's starting to hook right here. That shows you that he's a male. He'll make some fine smoking material.
Fishing guides usually don't get a chance to reel in a fish, and after Guide Dan landed this steelhead, there was enough time to check out the petroglyphs of Buffalo Eddie. These petroglyphs were left by the Nez Perce Indians over a century ago and marked this area as their meeting place. They seem as fresh as today's work. And at the turn of the century, this area was homesteaded. Tour boats stop by on a regular basis to hear the rich history of the area.
And remember that
Fishing the Snake River for steelhead is not too tricky, but a fishing guide is recommended if you're not too familiar with the area. Most of the fishing is done by trolling at slow speeds, with either a deep diving hot lips plug in a variety of colors or using bait shrimp and eggs. Northwest Outdoors was fishing outside of Beamer's Heller Bar Lodge, 20 miles south of Clarkston, Washington. But there are a number of boat launches available, giving anglers access to the fertile fishing grounds of the Snake River. In this next segment, Northwest Outdoors heads north of Spokane across the international border to do a little backroad sightseeing in the southern BC Rockies. Our first stop is the small alpine town of Rossland in the middle of gold country. This area is known for its world-class skiing at nearby Red Mountain, and it is also remembered for its rich history due to gold mining. Thousands of fortune seekers came here at the turn of the century, digging for gold ore buried deep in the belly of the Rossland Mountains. These men hand-drilled and blasted rock containing only 5 ounces of gold per ton of earth. Northwest Outdoors stopped by Canada's historic Leroy Gold Mine near downtown Rossland. This is Canada's only genuine gold mine open to the public. The museum features items left behind from many miners, as well as information about the gold rush years. Visitors can take a guided walking tour of the restored underground workings of the mine, that at one time consisted of 80 miles of tunnels and produced over $30 million of gold in the early 1900s.
Welcome to the Rosalind mine. LAW, looking for gold veins about as wide as this tunnel here, and they can get a lot larger than the tunnel here.
That would be incredible to find something that big.
So this right here is actually another stope. This right here goes down about 500 feet. We're on the 300-foot level of the mine right now. It does go down to the 800-foot level.
That's incredible to think that they came up 500 feet. And they pumped air in and out of for ventilation purposes
Actually,
and
there's all
breathing?
natural ventilation in this mine here. So this right here is actually about a day's work for a miner. Using this technique here, you can only work your way into a tunnel about 5 feet a day. Yeah, there's actually a real gold vein that does go up the center there.
Yep.
It does start very small at the bottom and does get larger as it goes up.
Each time that they'd get
Yeah,
soft,
so-
they'd have to advance it or bring it in.
There was little cages. We were on land and actually disconnected to the beach. The main change was instead of water passing through limestone, water passing.
When the tour is over, it's your turn to play prospector. There is gold to be found with just a little effort.
How are you doing there?
Oh, I'm getting down to sand anyway.
Oh, yeah, I'll get a lot more of that stuff out of there. You can see some stuff.
Sparklies?
See, there's little sparklies in here, yeah. Well, that's a beautiful piece right there.
From Rossland, our journey takes us to the Columbia River, near the town of Kaslo, for some late evening walleye fishing.
What size are these walleye running that we're going to run into?
Average size again, 2 pounds. Lots of them that big. My personal best is 10.
That's a good one.
Yeah, every year someone will catch one that big. I like to fish like this just to I get a better feel, and I work the rod better that way than up and down. I like to work it to the side a little bit. Come on, walleye, where are you?
No luck on the Columbia this day, but up the road is Kootenai Lake to try and catch a Girard rainbow. The next morning brings blue skies in the beginning of October. The fishing is done by trolling large fly patterns or plugs on downriggers, accompanied with planer boards.
The average size of the fish that you would normally catch throughout the season, what are you talking about? 2 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds?
Anywhere, I would say our average size that we catch is somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 pounds. That's the average size. You'll get a lot of 17, 18 pound fish. You'll get a few around 9, 10 pounds, but you very seldom catch small ones. Mostly they're big fish. They're good sized fish. And the biggest one this year was 29.8. It was a dandy, I guess. Right now, this time of the year, the fishing is really tough. The water temperatures, it's too warm. It's about 4 degrees too warm. Every once in a while, bango, you know, it happens. So when you're least expecting it, that's when they'll hit. Well, he was banging away at it pretty good there.
'Cause it was definitely a bite.
Well, we'll find out.
Well, the plug ain't working.
Here, you want to wind it in? Go for it.
You think there's a midget
You
one out
never
there,
know,
huh?
there might be. But he was hitting it pretty good.
Yeah, he did hit it.
But-
I don't feel it jerking, but
But if that's a fish, it'll
but you don't feel the plug working either.
be a bull trout.
Yeah, it could very well be something like that.
You get a small one and they'll swim with the hook too.
But there's a little something on there, a little
on
silver
there, yeah.
something.
Yeah, there's a dolly on there, I guess. Things are really good eating. Eh?
The bulls or the dollies?
The bulls and the dolly, whatever you want to call it. A little bit closer.
You got him?
Yeah, we got him. Just a little baby.
But he did eat that plug,
Oh, did he ever?
and
Well,
that
maybe-
plug was all right. That's an interesting color too, because you said it was a local manufacturer. See the nice spots on
Yeah.
that, the speckling and spots,
Yeah, they got the gold spots, the little halos around them.
white edges on the
Yeah.
fins.
Yeah, they're pretty fish, but they're very, very good eating fish. Eh?
Yep.
Very, very good eating.
That's a local manufactured wooden plug, and that's a pretty nice one too. Very well done job on that plug. Nice hangers.
Pretty sure that's a lineman plug.
A Lyman.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's
In the few hours spent on Kootenai Lake, luck ran short on catching a Girard rainbow. So we headed north along Highway 31 to the lakeside town of Kaslo to enjoy some of the sights near the towering peaks of the Selkirk and Purcell Mountains.
Fletcher Falls.
Northwest Outdoors hooked up with Danny Foster of Go Wild Tours to see up close some of the points of interest around Kaslo. This is Fletcher Falls, one of the spectacular waterfalls to dot this part of the BC Rockies.
Dan, you've got lots of those red fish in here.
Yeah, those are our kokanee. That's our lifeblood in the kootenays, Hobie.
The lifeblood is right, because what I see up here is you're looking at everything up here that brings industry, finance, commerce, and wealth to communities red. With Red Mountain down below, with its endeavors to the outdoors, and these kokanee bring lifeblood to the lake out here, and they're red.
That's right.
The smokestack near the lake is our next destination, the historic sternwheeler SS Moyer.
Oh, Hobart, this is the SS Moyer, Kaslo's pride and joy, the oldest intact sternwheeler in the world.
The oldest boat of this kind in the entire world. That's fantastic.
That's right.
The sternwheelers were the lifeblood of this country. Without them, these interior, remote areas of British Columbia would not have been opened until who knows when. Without the boats, there was no way to get people, to get goods, to get mail, to get your farm animals or your supplies. No way to get any of that up here. So everything that came into this area came on these boats. When the people walked in, you got to realize back then that they were dressed in suits, or even if they were miners, they wore heavy wool clothing, even in the summer. The women had the long Victorian gowns on. So the men were up here in their area, separated from the women. They smoked a lot of cigars, they chewed a lot of tobacco, drank whiskey, and most of them had mining claims or timber claims in the area. They would be swapping tales about that.
From the sternwheeler SS Moyer to the gold fields of the nearby mining ghost town of Sandon, Kaslo has an interesting past. Combined, the unlimited fishing, spectacular scenery, and rich history are good reasons to take a drive through the back roads of the BC Rockies. Learn more about Northwest Outdoors and this episode, Show 1306, by going online, www.northwestoutdoors.org.